All righty. So I guess let's go ahead and get started. And then that way, if people join, great. If they don't, then we'll just send out the video to them once we render it and everything.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll be able to participate on their own. So let's get started. I think everybody that's on this call, and I recognize one person. Hi, Judith. She's got no video. She's called in with audio, but I see you there. So hello. She's one of our teachers at Lehigh High School. So
okay.
I just wanted to call her out. But the other students have already participated, so they're familiar with the group that's already here. So I don't need to introduce myself again. And just in case you forgot, I'm the lady who sends you the text messages, and Candy's the one who sends you the emails most of the time. Okay, so you know who to hate on what type of communication comes out. It's probably me, because I text early. Anyway, so the person that you all are going to hear from today is Dr. Susan Cooper, who is one of our faculty members at FGCU in the College of Education. And she has a really cool presentation set up for you. And I'm not going to give her any sort of intro for her presentation because I don't want to steal any of the thunder. So Dr. Cooper, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. I teach science methods at FGCU, and people ask, what do students learn in science methods? And they learn how to teach science. So today we're going to do a science activity like you could do really in any grade level. You can just switch it up or down depending on the age of students that you're teaching. And one thing I say a lot is we learn science through play. So let me start sharing my screen. Hopefully I can do this correctly.
Let me give you access first, sorry.
Or you can show the PowerPoint either way, Tim.
Here, I just gave you access to share your screen. Okay. So you go ahead. If we can't get it to go, I can do it for you.
Okay.
Because I have the PowerPoint. There you go.
All right. All right. So let me, all right. So this is the first slide. Why are plane designs so different? So, think about that for a few minutes and write down thoughts that you have about why planes are different. And
Susan,
I have,
you don't need to click at the top,
sorry.
use slideshow.
Oh, sorry.
I think, yeah, it's like showing it like it would be on the computer view. There we go. Oh no, it didn't work.
Okay.
We're figuring stuff out.
See, yeah, Zoom. This is like, okay. So I've got a Mac. Does that matter?
I don't think so.
What about play? Let me try.
Try play from current slide.
Does this work?
At the top, when it says where it says use slideshow, I can talk. Try clicking that. Top left.
All right, play from start did not work. I'll try play from current slide. Does that work? Oh, okay. Does this work?
So it's showing it like it would be like if you were putting it on a like an overhead or something, and then this was a computer view. We're like seeing like try clicking that right there.
Okay.
There we go.
Yay.
Okay. Yay. Okay. Because I have this when I do presentations anywhere. So, okay, I have a Mac. It's different. Okay. So think about these, and also it would help, I think, if you switch to speaker view or don't even look at me, or just hide the speaker videos altogether. But think about the photographs of these planes and think about why are they different? And certainly the students that you'll be teaching would be thinking about why are planes different? They don't all look the same. So think about that for a minute or write notes. And we're gonna now look at two different videos to compare the similarities and differences. We're going to first look at the Raptor video, And it's an F-22 Raptor. It's a military plane. And then after that, we'll look at the C-5B Galaxy video. So I hope you have a piece of paper. And as you watch the video, take notes on what you notice and include the sound in your notes. So hopefully this will work. Is the YouTube loading? Can you see it?
Try
loading?
try clicking it one more time.
Okay.
Mm,
Hold on.
I hear it in
You
the
gotta
background.
Um,
Here, let me. So I want to see
okay.
if it would just work. See if you can stop sharing your screen, and
Okay.
and then I'll share the video because I also have it loaded up. So you want to do the
F-22 Raptor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me get that going. Hmm. All right. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
And can we hear it?
United States Air Force F-22 Raptor.
Okay. Thanks. And let's I'll give you a minute to finish writing your notes about the Raptor video, and then rather than go back to my screen, we're going to go directly in a minute to the C5B Galaxy, which is quite different. So what are some things you noticed about the Raptor? Anybody want to unmute and chime in?
It's very loud and super fast.
Okay. Yanaya or Cassidy?
Well, I'll say something. I
Okay.
guess it almost looked like, and maybe it was just the video, but it almost looked like it was able to kind of hover, like, stay in one spot and kind of drop, like fall. So I thought that was really cool from a plane perspective, because that's not something you usually see.
Right, right. Did you notice anything about the surroundings of the plane? Okay, I noticed condensation like around the edges of the wings. Did anybody notice the lights? Were there, and another thing I noticed, and this goes with what Lauren said, sometimes it looked like a shadow, but I'm sure that it was still a photograph and not, a dark shadow. Younger children, I think, are going to be a lot more willing to share what they noticed. So those are some things that, think about as you watch the next one, which is the galaxy.
All right, and I'll pull that one up.
And once again, pay attention to the sounds and the appearance. Let's hear from, after the galaxy, let's hear from from Yanaya and Cassidy, as well as Joel.
One sec. Sorry, I'm pulling that up. So I think Zoom
I
just
hope
doesn't like.
Cassidy can see this, right? She just
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she's just not turning her video on, and
Right.
she's been messaging in the chat, so she can talk to us through there. Yeah, I think Zoom just doesn't like, for some reason, when you go from PowerPoint to trying to show a video, like the audio gets kind of messed up.
Right.
So everybody can see this. All right, here we go.
Okay, that's good. Thanks. Okay, so what were some things you noticed about the galaxy?
Can I speak?
Sure.
Yeah.
It has like less smoke and like it has a lot of wheels.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how many wheels it had. Anybody else? What about the sound of the Galaxy compared to the Raptor?
It was more deeper. It was harder.
What about the speed or apparent speed? I know you weren't in the cockpit to see how fast they were going. Which one seemed to go faster?
The F-22.
Okay. All right. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We are going to, if we had more students, we would go into breakout rooms, but since we only have a few students, we'll stay together on this. But I'm going to be quiet and let you think about the similarities and differences between the two planes. And I'll give you about 3 minutes to write down any similarities and differences that you notice. And we are going to talk about this. I'm not going to tell you similarities and differences. So think about that. And you can add to what has already been said about the two planes. Okay. About 30 seconds to wrap up your thoughts, and then I want to hear from everybody. And when you're sharing, feel free to add to your list. If somebody says something that you didn't think of, feel free to add it. So let's hear from one person. What are some similarities?
They're both loud.
Okay, good job. And I'm sorry, I don't know how to type into this. But loud. Okay. What else?
I can start typing into the chat,
Okay.
and everybody should see from the chat. So as people are calling stuff out, I'll start typing it.
Okay. Any other similarities?
They're both used by the military.
Yes. Anything else?
They both use pilots.
Okay, we assume we couldn't see them.
We
but-
assume. Yeah, I see a cockpit on both of them, so I'm assuming so. But
Right. What about the color?
Gray.
Okay. Okay. Have we heard from Cassidy or?
No, not yet. I don't know.
Okay.
She messaged earlier, but she hasn't said anything. I don't know if she's having trouble on her end. If she's having problems with the video, it might just mean she doesn't have a very good connection.
Right. Okay. What about the differences?
The wheels and the shape.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very different. How would you describe the shape of the galaxy, the 5B galaxy, this one?
It's like rounder and like more thick.
Okay. And what about the Raptor?
It's more flat and thin.
Okay. All right, let's go. I'm going to go to the next slide. And it kind of brings together some of what you've been talking about. If you've analyzed your observations, and what do you think about the function? You've already mentioned that they're both military planes, but what do you think they are used for? Any ideas about the function of the Raptor?
Is it like a fighter jet?
Okay, it looks like it could be. What evidence, what made you think that, Joel?
It can move very fast, and it's like it can do flips and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any other ideas about the function of the Raptor? What about the Galaxy? What do you think it's used for?
Maybe like carrying a group of soldiers somewhere, because it kind of looks like a commercial plane.
Okay, so that would be the evidence that it looks like a commercial plane and claiming that it carries groups of people. What else could it carry?
Weapon.
Cargo.
Yeah. I wondered, and I don't know the answer to this, but when the Galaxy landed, you notice there were people watching it land. And I don't know why that was. They didn't, I don't think the people looked military, did they? The people watching it land, they looked like ordinary people.
yeah, like civilians, kind of. Maybe it was in an air show,
Yeah. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
a new plane, like it was being unveiled or whatever, where they can take pictures and things like that.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but that's a good point. So we're going to, in a minute, we're going to the name of this today's activity was learning through play. So in a minute, we're going to test your thinking by building a model plane. And before we do that, I want to talk about or I want you to be thinking about fair tests. And what do we mean when we talk about a fair test? That means one where you're comparing apples and apples and not apples and oranges. And think about, you can't really think about how to make the test fair without also thinking about how you're going to collect the data. So we're going to have you make, you can make both the hot dog and the hamburger plane, or you can just make one. But we'll look at the video for how to make the planes, and then we'll talk about how you're going to well, let's talk about how you're going to collect the data and what data you're going to collect before you build the planes. But you're going to fly paper airplanes and compare their flight. And the planes will be similar to the Galaxy and the Raptor. So what is some data when you fly a paper airplane? What are some things you can change on it, or what is some data you'd collect?
The distance.
Good. How far it goes, the distance traveled. What else?
How hard it is to build it.
Okay. When you started off how hard it is, I was thinking of another thing to make the test fair. When you fly the hot dog plane compared to the hamburger plane, you're going to want to use the same force. So, you know, how hard you throw it is one important thing you need to make it a fair test. What other data besides how far? What other things could you measure?
How high it goes.
Okay, that would be hard to do. I hope you're inside, right? That would be hard to do, but yeah, kind of related to how high, if the higher it goes, what? Think of the Raptor. It went pretty high.
It's not precise in a direction.
Okay. And it was also in the, which one took, it seemed like took longer to come down. It kind of floated down, the Raptor did. So you could measure how high it goes, but you might instead want to look at how much time it is in the air, how far it goes. You want to control how hard you throw it. And one thing, there's one more thing to think about, or maybe a couple more things to think about. One is where it lands, because you want it to land in a certain spot. And with a paper airplane, that's a little tricky, is you know, how accurate the landing is. So what we're going to do next, and Tim will cue up the video, and if you'll get your paper ready, before we watch the video, I want you to decide, and you'll have to talk to me about this or put it in the chat, if you're going to make a hot dog plane or a hamburger plane or both, because I want to make sure that we have both kinds of planes. So you can make both if you've got two pieces of paper, and it can be, the video that you're going to watch to show you how to make the planes is, they're using just ordinary copy paper or notebook paper. So if you've got two pieces of paper, you can make two planes, one of each. So put in the chat, if you will, if you're going to make both or just one, so that we'll know that we have everything represented.
Joel's going for both. Oh,
Okay.
Lauren's doing both too.
All
right, and you said you wanted me to play that third video?
The video is the one that's World War II squared.
Okay, I have that ready to go. I'm gonna have to stop your PowerPoint again, and I'll bring it up. Okay.
Yeah. So, and I should have put stop sharing. I wasn't thinking.
Oh, no worries.
So, yeah. Okay, Yanaya, that sounds good. And the first part of the video shows you how to make the hot dog plane, and the second part shows how to make the hamburger plane. So, Yanaya, you can just hold on and watch how to do the hot dog plane.
All right, I'm ready to, I can
Yeah,
play
go ahead and start it. It's about 3 minutes or the hot dog plane.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Mason, and I'm at the National World War II Museum in New Orleans, Louisiana. We're standing in the U.S. Freedom Pavilion at the Boeing Center, where you can see 6 different planes from World War II overhead. The B-17 Flying Fortress, the B-25 Mitchell Bomber, a Douglas SBD Dauntless, the TBM Avenger, an F-4U Corsair, and a P-51 Mustang. Which brings us to today's experiment. How does a plane's design affect its ability to fly? Well, let's find out. These are my friends, Tess and Lucy, and they're going to help us answer today's big question.
Here we study problem solving in World War II and how we can learn from it today. Lucy, why do you think all of the planes look so different?
Because they have different jobs.
Well, it sounds like you two scientists have it covered. I'll leave you to it.
You're going to need 2 pieces of paper. We're going to make different airplanes using the hot dog and hamburger folding method.
Then we're going to see how they fly.
We're just going to use 1 piece of paper right now so we can put the other ones away. We're going to fold it the long way and make the 2 ends touch. Got it? Great. Then we're going to unfold it and take the 2 corners. Then we're going to meet them to the center crease and fold that down. Then do the same with the other. Good job. Okay, now we're going to take this whole side, and meet it into the center crease. Oops, just like that. Fold it down. Good job, and do the same thing on the other side. Make sure the tip stays nice and pointy so it won't get all bumpy in the air. Okay, now we're going to fold the 2 together so the ends should meet. You ready? There you go. Then we're going to take this whole edge and meet it along the bottom, just like this, to make the wings. And same to the other side. Try to keep that point straight. Don't crumple it. Okay. And then we can take our wings and flip them up. Now we have our hot dog plane. Now we're going to make our hamburger plane. Here's your piece of paper. So now we're going to fold it the other way and meet the 2 edges right there and make our fold. Good job. All right, let's unfold it. So now we are going to fold the corners in towards the center, and there's not really anywhere to put the point yet, but we need to make sure that this opposite corner is completely, it makes a tip. So if we can just eyeball that, it should meet the, wow, you're speedy. It should meet the center. Just like that. Oops, let me adjust mine a little bit. There we go. All right, now let's do the other side. There we go. Now we're going to take the top side of the trapezoid shape that we've made, and we're going to fold it over just a couple of times. These side flap wings are going to try to come up, so try to make sure that you push them under so they don't start to bubble. So then let's fold it over again. And here we go. We can push this underneath and fold it again. And one last time. Ready? There we go. Okay, now we're going to fold it back so the 2 wings meet, just like that. Then we're going to make a little crease in the center, so we're going to fold about 1/2 of an inch back the other way, and press that down. And we're going to do the same to the other side. So now the two wings should be even again. Then we're going to fold the edge of the wings up so we get a nice glide for the airplane. There you go. All right, and we have completed our hamburger airplanes.
Does anybody need a playback on the hamburger airplane? I see a lot of
Yes,
shaking.
please.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Tim.
No problem. Let me try and find the beginning.
The hamburger starts at about 3 minutes.
All right, I think I found it. I'll start playing it.
This opposite corner, and it doesn't, there's not really, good job. All right, let's unfold it. So now we are going to fold the corners in towards the center, and it doesn't, there's not really anywhere to put the point yet, but we need to make sure that this opposite corner is completely, it makes a tip. So if we can just eyeball that, it should meet the, wow, you're speedy. It should meet the center. Just like that. Oops, let me adjust mine a little bit. There we go. All right, now let's do the other side. There we go. Now we're going to take the top side of the trapezoid shape that we've made, and we're going to fold it over just a couple of times. These side flap wings are going to try to come up, so try to make sure that you push them under so they don't start to bubble. So then let's fold it over again. And here we go. We can push this underneath and fold it again. And one last time. Ready? There we go. Okay. Now we're going to fold it back so the two wings meet. Just like that. Then we're going to make a little crease in the center. So we're going to fold about 1/2 of an inch back the other way and press that down. And we're going to do the same to the other side. So now the two wings should be even again. Then we're going to fold the edge of the wings up so we get a nice glide for the airplane. There you go. All right, and we have completed our hamburger airplanes.
How are we doing, everybody?
Is everybody okay? You got, Joel, do you have both planes?
He's shaking his head no. Do we want to watch that maybe one more time?
Did you get it, Yanaya? Oh, he said it's breaking up.
Did anyone make it? Because I got confused on step 1.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
I got hot dog.
Folding it in half?
I didn't understand the whole tip thing. Where was it going?
It does. The hot dog one doesn't really have a tip.
Oh man, look at Susan's playing. It's like perfect. You've done this once or twice.
Yeah, this was the first time. Okay.
Mine doesn't have a nose.
Yeah. Okay. See my plane?
Yeah, my wings didn't fold back. I don't know what happened there.
I don't know if I folded my wings back correctly, but there's really no tip on the hot dog.
I'm sticking with hot dog.
Yeah, the hamburger plane, no tip. The hot dog has kind of a tip. My hot dog is the one that's not very good. My hamburger is better. Okay. All right, does everybody have a plane to fly? At least one. Okay, yay!
All
Okay,
right.
I'm gonna go back and share my screen so that you
Okay,
can
so
talk
let me
about the
stop
data,
sharing
and I'm
mine.
gonna let you go fly planes. All right, so, okay. I think, yeah. All right, so we're in the right place, right? All right, so you've made your plane, and before we break, remember that you want to make a fair test, and you can go to a hallway or you know, outside or whatever, and try to throw with the same force every time, and measure from the same place every time. Don't measure the first time from the back of where you're holding your hand. You know, you need to measure from where you release the plane. And you want to compare the distance that the plane flies. And because of time, we're not going to get, you know, meter sticks or measuring tapes to measure how far. You can just compare how far the plane goes. And the speed, you know, I know some of you made both planes, so compare the hot dog plane to the hamburger plane. Which one seems to fly faster? Which one stays in the air longer? If you, and you can time the amount of time in the air. And obviously this is easier to do with a partner, but, you know, do the best you can. And also think about how you can get it to land on a target. That would be accuracy. So before I let you go to fly your planes, do you have any questions about how to make your test fair or what data you need to record? Okay, I think it's 3:21. So let's try breaking for 10 minutes, and you go wherever you need to go to fly your planes and compare the distance, speed, time in the air, and accuracy. And I'll stay by my computer so that if you have any questions, you can come back and type it in the chat box, or just talk to me if you have capability to talk to me. Okay, so I'm going to leave my screen like it is, where you can remember what to record and ask questions if you have them. Okay, Tim, I turned my video off, but I'm
Okay.
here.
Okay, I'm here as well.
Okay.
Go, Lauren, go.
Look at this one. I don't know if you can see it. I'm trying to throw it. That hamburger one really does fly, surprisingly.
The hamburger one is amazing.
Paper airplanes are fun.
That they are.
Yeah, and it's a lot. I'm sorry that we don't have more people flying. And I hadn't thought about fun. It's more fun to work in teams on this, you know, to have help with measuring. And I had not thought of that aspect of it.
But you know, if making a paper airplane is something that you can do. It's very easy. Candy, how did your plane go? You didn't show us how it flew.
Lauren was the only one brave enough to paper
The little
Yeah.
tip, it went down.
Yeah, that's what mine did.
Your
And
plane looks different than mine.
I
Why
couldn't
does mine look like this?
Yeah.
I think people
Yeah,
have.
I think Lauren followed the directions better. Mine ended up like Candy's, but Lauren did a better job. Yeah.
I couldn't figure out the
Yay!
hamburger. Go, Joel.
There we go.
Oh, here
Joel,
we
let's
go.
see it.
That was pretty good.
That was
flew.
a hamburger.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
hot
Thank
dog spiraled.
you. Awesome.
Yeah, I couldn't get the hamburger.
Yeah.
Oh, the hamburger, I made it. It doesn't look very good, but it flew.
Okay, explain to me, like if I do this, I got this first part, I could do this part. It was the next part. Where does this go?
You kind of,
Kind of in the middle.
Yeah, to the middle, kind of.
you
So
have-
I would do that.
you kind of have to curl it so that
Yes.
that the edge is
But-
going to go to the, when you fold it, it's going to go to the other point of the paper where your hand is. And you know, one of the things that was suggested, and I forgot about it, is that when you show the video, and especially the hamburger one, that you slow it down. Because if you slow it down,
I didn't think about that.
then the children could follow along better. But I forgot that was one of the suggestions.
Yeah, I definitely don't feel like I have a college degree right now.
No. And that little girl,
Okay.
you know, she just did it really fast. I'm sure that must have been the bazillionth one she made.
Well, because you're
Yeah.
used to making paper airplanes the old-fashioned way, where it's like just fold it in half and do the little triangle. The hamburger one I've never made before, so I think that's part of the problem too.
But the
Nor have I yet. So we're gonna have to, when we get back and the Corona, I almost called it a different name. Woo, good save, Candy. Somebody's got to show me how to make this thing.
right, because it's a lot of, the hamburger one is fun to fly. To me,
I'm working on mine.
it was more fun.
I
don't
think
have
you should
paper, so
show
I'm-
me, Tim.
I'm folding important documents right now, and I'll just unfold them later.
Is that your home sale document?
One of them, yes.
Whee! I knew it, because what other paper would you have?
Yeah. Well, because we have like a home printer and stuff, but everything that goes with it, everything's still in boxes. So I was thinking about that today. I was like, oh, my paper's in a box somewhere, and I have no idea what box it is. So hold on. I'm going to try and make mine while everyone's still flying theirs.
Yeah, I have no excuse. I just couldn't do it.
I don't know.
Well, to be
Go ahead.
fair, her hands were in the way.
Yes, I agree.
Like the camera should have been more on top of her hand so that you could see the paper. Her hand was in the way a lot. So I was trying to figure out, I was just making guesses.
Right. Yeah, I think knowing where to make that first fold on the hamburger is critical, and it's hard to see. And another thing about paper, I used paper. You know, I do that a lot with my students to emphasize you don't need to get a clean sheet of copy paper. And that saves resources.
That's true. I made mine with my note paper.
But you know, last year in August, I talked to the field experience supervisors, and I don't remember what I don't think we were flying paper airplanes, but we were doing something where you needed to fold paper, and I gave them, you know, the used paper, and they said, but hers is different from mine. You know, they were looking at what was printed on it. I said, no, we're folding it. We're not, you know, writing on it or reading it. We're
using it. Yeah.
I didn't do very good.
And it really blew their minds.
Didn't work.
They had a hard time wrapping their head around how much.
Kind of.
Yeah, you had it upside down.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not the best, but I made it.
Yeah, mine is not as deep as yours.
Yeah, I think I made my fold too big.
Okay. All right. Did we tell him to come back at 3:30? I can't remember.
I think so.
Yeah, you gave him 10 minutes.
10
yeah.
minutes.
You didn't want to test flyers, Tim?
I'm muted while I'm talking. That's always good.
That's interesting because when you're muted, you don't have a little red microphone.
I have hold on, I'll show you. You're gonna make fun of me. My microphone is fancy. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, you have a special mute. Okay.
It's the headset.
So you're like sneakily on mute.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot easier. It's like a toggle button versus having to like go.
Yeah, go reach and click it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'll be right back. I'm gonna go throw my airplane.
Give it a try.
There's Joel.
Okay, don't throw them under fans because my fan just made it totally hit the ground. I'll have to try when I can go somewhere else.
And that's another thing, you know, if you do this with children, when we're face to face, the wind outside can be a huge unfair test one way or the other. And that's why it is, and I probably need to wait until we get Joel and Yanaya back. It really needs to, you need to fly them and fly them and fly them to compare the data, especially if you're outside. There's Yanaya. Okay.
I think we're all back.
So I'm just going to say to Joel and Yanaya, I am going to send the complete 6-page, oh my goodness, lesson plan to Lauren, and she can send it to you. And it has the links in it for the videos. If you wanted, you know, to do this with younger siblings or share it with a class. And also, I apologize. I didn't think to ask Tim to slow the video down. That would have made it way easier, I think, to follow the directions, especially on the hamburger plane. It was difficult to follow those directions, especially at normal speed. Okay, I'm going to go back to my screen sharing. Okay, can you see it okay?
Yeah, click the use slideshow button again at the top like we did the first time.
Okay. Hold on.
Back to...
I couldn't remember which one I did.
No. So you wait, go back to click play from current slide.
Okay, hold on a second. This one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then when you get to it,
okay.
Now at the top left, the use slideshow tab.
I don't see that. That's what I'm not.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder why. Okay, maybe I can guide you to the mouse there. So move the mouse straight up slowly. Keep going, keep going, keep going. A little bit more.
But it's off of my. Oh wait, I'm looking. I know what I did wrong. I apologize. I've got 2 computer monitors, and I was looking at the wrong one.
Oh my
fault.
gosh.
Okay. Okay, it's okay now, right?
Yep, perfect.
All right, I apologize. It's the difference between the, I have basically the same thing on both screens now, but at that critical point, I needed to be looking at the laptop. Okay, so what did you find out about the way that the planes flew? And anybody can share. And which one did you like flying more, the hamburger or the hot dog?
The hamburger one was like, it went faster.
Yeah.
I
Did
enjoyed
it go
watching
further?
you fly the hamburger, Joel, because
Yes,
I could not figure out how to make the hamburger.
Oh, that was not my first attempt. We had a couple
Yeah,
failed.
so did I.
Um, what about the hot dog one? How did it fly?
It was okay. It wasn't as good as the hamburger one though.
You think that, did the hamburger one go further usually?
Yeah.
And which one was in the air longer?
I think it was the hot dog one.
Yeah. Do you think, which one do you think you could control better? In other words, make it more accurate in where it lands?
Probably the hamburger one. I mean, both of them pretty much nosedived, but I think that was just on my part. But I think the hamburger one would have been easier to control.
Yeah. And I think, if you were doing this with students at many grade levels, one thing I did not tell you when I started talking is I've taught science at all grade levels, all the way from elementary on up to college. But I did teach high school physics for a long time, and I taught middle school science for a long time. And measuring these the distance and using your phone to get the time and that way then you can get the speed, distance divided by time. You can get a lot more precise in your answers than the general answers that we're giving here. But what do you think about the structure of the plane? Back to the original question that we had at the beginning of the slideshow, how does a plane, why are planes designed differently? What do you think now? Why are they designed differently? Is there anything that you're thinking of now that you maybe didn't think of at the beginning?
They're used for different types of
Right.
like different types of things.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. And one thing we didn't even get into on the planes that we watched, and I don't know the answer to this, is what they're made of. I'm not sure if they're made of the same materials. I know in the photographs of the planes that I had on the first slide, those are not all made of the same materials. And that's another whole thing to explore. So the words I have underlined on this slide, patterns and structure and function, are very important cross-cutting concepts that fall into many STEM activities. And, STEM researchers are looking for patterns, and they think about the structure and function of objects that they design. So students who are interested in engineering, might think more, hopefully this activity would help them think more deeply about what an engineer has to understand in order to make awesome designs. And this photograph was not taken from the site where I got the videos for how to make the planes, but these two on the left, on the right, are just like the planes this is just like the hot dog plane should have looked at the end, and this is just like the hamburger plane should have looked at the end. So that might help you. This is a tiny bit different than the hot dog plane they made, and this has more of a pointy nose, which the hamburger plane they made did not. But certainly experimenting with different structures would be a fun thing for students to do. And then getting into the forces acting on the plane. The weight of the plane is probably the easiest force to understand for students. And of course, the weight of the plane is due to the gravity pulling on the plane. How would you compare the weight of your hot dog plane compared to the weight of your hamburger plane?
I mean, wouldn't they be the same?
Exactly, because you made them out of the same size of paper, and hopefully the same type of paper. And that's another thing to make the test fair. You should use the same type of paper, because if you use, for example, cardstock, that's going to be different than, that is a different weight than copy paper. So that's important. So lift is the force that has to counteract weight. If a plane can't get up in the air, if the lift is not greater than the weight. So thrust, what would, for your plane, what provided the thrust?
Throwing it, like the force you use to throw it.
And what provided the drag? Why did it come down?
Air resistance.
Yeah. And that, I didn't mention what causes lift, but I'm glad you mentioned air, because that goes back to lift. And the way the air flows over the plane contributes to the lift. Remember in the beginning when you were watching the video of the Raptor, and the way that the clouds curl around the plane is very telling for the lift on the plane. So after you had a discussion with your students about, you know, how does a plane even get in the air, and you know, obviously you have to have a strong engine or a strong arm if you're throwing a paper airplane for thrust. But how do you overcome the weight of the plane? That's a very tricky thing. And the design of the plane and the way the air flows over the plane is critical for getting the lift that the plane needs to get off the ground. And we're not going to get into that today because it has to do with the shape of the wings and also the shape of the overall plane. But this is a very common slide that you'll see when people talk about planes and, you know, why do they even fly? Okay, any questions about this slide and your paper airplane? And I was just thinking about the Wright brothers. I think they flew their first plane in 1912, which was before the last pandemic. So I thought, that's interesting. Thinking about how long ago it was. It was a little more than 100 years ago. Okay. So some things to think about. The Galaxy, I know Yanaya mentioned it was really, you know, shaped like a passenger plane. It was very cylinder shaped, whereas the Raptor was very flat. So which one would have more drag, the Galaxy or the Raptor? Remember, drag is what, we'll go back to the slide. Drag is caused by air resistance. So why would engineers make something with so much drag?
Because it has like a strong thrust and they needed something to counteract it.
Yes, exactly. Any other ideas about that? And remember, the purpose of the galaxy, I think you mentioned, was to move things or people. So you've got to have it a cylinder shape to get everything or all the people inside. The Raptor, I don't know, but I would doubt it had more than 4 people inside and not a lot of cargo. Okay, so the structure definitely determines the function and how it flies, but the design is based on what people need or what people want. So, and that goes for anything. The structure of anything that engineers design determines the function, but you have to find out what people need or want to be able to satisfy what people will use. So it's at 3:45, so I don't think there's time, and besides there's issues of where we all are right now. But with your students, you would want to teach them about the engineering design process. And you could ask them how to improve on the designs, the hot dog or the hamburger design that you just did. They could decide they want the plane to go further or faster or be more accurate or even carry a heavier load. So think that would be asking a question. And you might want to do some research, imagine your solutions, and then make a plan, create a prototype, test it, and then improve it. And you notice there is no end to the engineering design process. When do you think engineers know when to stop? When do they stop testing and improving?
They don't.
Yeah. I think I have owned 3 iPhones. And they keep coming out with more to get me to spend more money. So I think saying they don't is a good answer. Or when they run out of money is another answer. And whenever I do engineering design with my students, I always emphasize that there are constraints. Engineers don't have unlimited supplies. They don't have unlimited tools to help them design what they are trying to create. And that they, of course, have a finite amount of time. So all of these things go into the engineering design process, but it's a way to get students really excited about creating, and that is the E in STEM. So, I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on this slide, but certainly changing the structure of the plane could be done, and that would affect the lift and the drag. The weight would only be affected if you used a different kind of material for the plane, or used a half a sheet of paper compared to a full sheet of paper. When students are working together like this, you always want them to decide in advance and have it approved by you what is going to mean that they met their target, how are they going to test. And one of the reasons you want to know how they're going to test is you want to check on safety. And also you want to look at their plan to make sure that that it will lead to some sort of complete product, that there's not a big hole left in their design. And then these are questions that you would want to ask your students to report out. And one thing, that is important for students to learn is that often designs will be unsuccessful. We learn from mistakes. We learn by looking at what happened, think about how we can improve it, and go forward. And as Joel said, engineers are always seeking to improve designs, even when they meet success. You know, how can we make it better? And there's no end to what engineers do. Today's activity has incorporated science with the forces, but it has also incorporated a lot of engineering. And I think Lauren sent you an article, Catch a Glider, which is for students who like history. This is really interesting. It's about a group of people. It was the spring of 1945, and it was a group of U.S. soldiers who were really sightseeing in the mountains of New Guinea, and they got the plane crashed on the edge of a valley. And so then the problem became, how do we rescue them? And so it's a really interesting article that would hook the kids who like history and don't like science so much. And I hope you'll have some time. It's just a 2-page article that you could use with probably 5th graders on up. And it relates back, the questions relate back to the design of the plane. And they ended up making a glider, and they were able to rescue some of the survivors of the plane crash. And also students who are interested can research STEM careers, which is very often really emphasized in schools. So I'll be glad to share the lesson plan with you. And I don't remember if I sent it to Lauren or not, but if I didn't, I can send it again. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And, you know, any questions that you have about teaching STEM or science or encouraging students to play. Any thoughts? So quiet. I hope you had a good time and that you can see, you know, what I'm always telling my students is science is fun. And you can make it fun to learn about force and motion and thrust and drag and lift and weight, all those things.
And I think some of these things can be applied in other subjects and other things as well. Which is kind of cool. You know, if you're having a good time, you're definitely going to learn. So,
right. And this lesson, you know, if you bring in the story at the end, you've got reading and social studies, which I'm always saying my students who are elementary education majors say, but we don't have time for science. Well, this brings in reading and science and social studies all together. So, and you can even get in the math with measuring the distance the plane flies and calculating the speed, you know, spending more time than we did today. But there are lots of fun things. And you would be surprised, especially, I'm picturing some students I've taught in the past. I mean, they just get really excited about stuff like this and they go with it. And, you know, something fun to do at home too and share with your family. Any other questions or comments? Okay, well, I really appreciate your attention, and I hope you enjoyed the lesson. So
yes, thank you, Dr. Cooper.
You are welcome. And I'll send you that lesson plan. I know Jen was going to share it with her intro to ed students, which is fine with me. So I'll send you the lesson plan, which is probably Joel and Yanaya will go, oh my goodness, but it shows a lot of the thought that goes into creating lesson plans. Okay.
It's full circle. They can see how something like this and the activity and the prep work that goes into it and the reasoning and everything. So the lesson plan is really good for them to see,
Right.
even if it is a little daunting still.
What I'm going to send, I wrote it. It was not written by a student. So it's not what you would be expected to write your first day in the college event by any means. So I was just trying to write an exemplar. So I'll send it along. Okay. All right.
Perfect.
So,
thank you. Okay, guys. So please thank Dr. Cooper. I will send the lesson plans. You have some follow-up. We have another lesson tomorrow. It is back to the 1 o'clock time, working with students with learning differences, and that's with another one of our professors in special education. So I encourage you to tune in for that. And I look forward to seeing your faces again, and you'll get another text. Apologies, but if I don't remind you, sometimes we end up with not a lot of people to show up like we did today. So I hope that you'll be smiling and at attention again for tomorrow's lesson, and I will see you then. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.